The power of imagination. In video games, some of the greatest feats of technological development came from a human's imagination, and gamers have been fully immersed in them for a long time. Hell, some games can even influence our emotions or ways we look at life. I've been playing games for most of my life, and after I'm immersed in a new environment, it's easy to think of ways to expand them, whether it be a sequel or another installment of the franchise, or just coming up with my own idea for a series. So today I want to talk about my own ideas for video games, or ways to enhance a franchise. More likely than not, these ideas will never see the light of day, but as the expression goes, it's good to dream. It's the year 2002. The video game Sonic Mega Collections was released and I was excited. I never owned a Sega Genesis, so this game was the only way for me to play the original Sonic games. However, one game was kept a secret and the only way to unlock it was to play Knuckles and Sonic 2, Flicky, Blue Spear, and Sonic 3 and Knuckles 30 times each. Be ready to exploit that menu select, kids! Once you fulfill these requirements, you unlock the game Ristar, a Sega Genesis game that was initially released in 1995. And I loved every minute of it. Is it the longest game? No. Is it the hardest game? No. Is it a fun experience with simple controls and a simple gimmick that keeps you immersed in a creative and colorful world while listening to classic songs that only the Sega Genesis could create? You bet your star face it was. Reistar was a simple game in every sense of the word, but each sense was a sensation. It's not the best game in the world, but Reistar is still a classic experience that deserves a future. He made minor appearances in other games, but never made a comeback. If anyone deserves a reboot, you can bet that I would put Reistar near the top of the list. Imagine if Retro Studios, the same company behind the Donkey Kong Country Returns games, was able to bring that same amount of charm and effort to this fellow platformer. An updated design and soundtrack, along with the same crisp gameplay that made Reistar a classic for me, would be spectacular. Maybe one day Reistar will get that comeback he deserves, but as of right now, one can only look to the stars. Marvel! King of the superhero movies, and sometimes pretty good with Legos. Now when it comes to video games, Marvel is alright. There are definitely good games associated with Marvel, but none seem to have the same impact that a certain rival superhero does. The Batman Arkham series, for the most part, was the example of how to do a superhero game justice, no pun intended. Excellent gameplay, stories that feel ripped right from a comic book or an animated series, full, and I mean full of Easter eggs, and the majesty that is Kevin Conroy and Mark Hamill as the Batman and Joker.
You're wrong, Raish. You've become what you've always fought against, and I will stop you.
Barbara's dead and I'm laughing. Ah! Jason Todd's dead and I can't stop laughing. I'm even dead and I can't stop laughing. What else can I do?
The Arkham games show how well superheroes can be adapted into video games. So what if one of the Avengers got that same treatment? His first movie was decent, he was an okay Avenger, but after Winter Soldier, Age of Ultron, and Civil War, people everywhere, including me, are realizing that Captain America is kind of awesome. His fighting style is unique and his character is iconic as it gets. So imagine if Rocksteady's next game was giving Steve Rogers the Arkham makeover. For starters, the combat could be fluid and innovative with Steve's shield. With the press of a button along with moving the control stick, you could make the shield bounce off different objects and people to increase your combo gauge. It's kinda like what I said with the Ristar reboot. Keep the controls and game gimmicks simple and innovative for the best kind of experience. Add to it a compelling storyline. I'm sure the writers could make it possible with Cap's allies and enemies present, and Marvel could have that video game that finally made the impact it wants with gamers. Also, seeing Steve do superhuman feats would be more convincing than Batman doing that sort of thing. I swear, he's a god. Oh Bleach, what happened to thy series? Thou's final arc was rushed, and now all that remains in the hearts of fans are regret and sadness. Sadness that the end of an era couldn't have been explored more, and what we got was a storybook ending that we felt it didn't deserve yet. Will there ever be a day when Bleach can earn its honor back? I don't know, but maybe a video game can help. When it comes to mixing anime and video games, it's a risky move. Sometimes you can strike the right chords, but if you mess up the game mechanics and compromise the heart of the anime for it, the result can be a lackluster experience and a waste of money. But if there's one game series that has remained on track in terms of quality and adaptation to an anime, it's the Naruto Ultimate Ninja Storm series. Say what you will about Naruto, for me, I stopped caring when this guy took over the main villain role and was then replaced by this girl as the end-all villain. But the Ultimate Ninja Storm games have proven time and time again that the story of Naruto was in the right hands. They weren't perfect, but you could tell that the developers put a lot of time and effort into making the games as entertaining as possible. For starters, just look at the environment from the first game. These games are nothing else but beautiful. So imagine if Bleach got the same kind of treatment, top-notch graphics, an original soundtrack, or just use the music from the show since some of those songs are absolutely incredible, a simple yet engaging fighting system, and adapt the story using these mechanics to make a game that could match or even surpass the quality of the Ultimate Ninja Storm series. Another advantage is that if Taikubo, the creator of Bleach, was involved, the game could tell us the parts of the Bleach story that couldn't make it in the final arc. There were a lot of holes in the Bleach story when it ended, but if a game of this magnitude could fill in those holes while still entertain, then fans may get that definitive Bleach experience that they were waiting for 15 years. 2007, the year where God of War 2, Guitar Hero 2, Mega Man ZX Advent, and so much more were released. But perhaps the most exciting thing for me as a 15-year-old was seeing the announcement that Mario and Sonic were appearing in a game together. I was a gamer more than a comic book fan, so seeing two of the biggest icons of my childhood together at long last, you could imagine the tears of joy. But all was not meant to be. Yes, Mario and Sonic were going to be in a game together, but it was in the form of a sports game. Sports game. Sports. I know Mario has a reputation of having good sports games in the past, but the fact that one of the most desired crossovers in gaming resulted in an average sports game with motion controls makes the wound bleed to this day. I can only hope that one day Mario and Sonic earn enough medals to be content and then join together in the adventure that they deserve. Making these two crossover won't be exactly hard, but the real challenge will be to figure out how to take two game styles and put them together. Both are platformers, but one relies on skill and speed, while the other relies on skill and exploration. In high school, a friend and I had an idea. We were inspired by the numerous Flash games of Mario and Sonic, so we thought of a way to put the two together. What we came up with was Sonic having Sonic Unleashed or Sonic Generations gameplay in Mario's world, while Mario takes his 3D mechanics from Galaxy into Sonic's world. That way, these old iconic areas have a new twist on them. We didn't get much farther in terms of planning, and all our designs were scribbles on paper that proved our artistic skill was at the level of a toddler covering himself in paint and running into a screen door. But to this day, I still think there's potential in a proper crossover. I get that the Olympic Games are cash grabs mainly because the dream events are the only source of actual originality, but any other crossover between game its largest mascots has so much more potential than this.
Fine, I'm cool, I'm fine.
Disney and video games. Unfortunately, most of the time when these two mix, the results can range from eh to alright. There are some rare gems, but the game I want to focus on is a certain racer. When I was a kid, I played a lot of Mickey's Racing Adventure on the Game Boy Color. In this game, you raced against other Disney characters on colorful and original racetracks. It was alright, but it did give me the idea of a new kind of racing game. One that took place in Disney World. I love Disney World. It's one of my favorite places to go with family. But over the years, I've noticed that when it comes to games, Disney World isn't really used that much. There are nods to the park, of course, in some games, but there's no game that found a way to include this giant park in a definitive video game experience. That's when I came up with Disney World Racing. If you were to ask me when I was a kid in school what kind of job I wanted, I would say that I wanted to work with Nintendo. The dream is still with me today, and if somehow I could get this game made with all its features, I might explode from joy and at the same time feel sorry for the janitor. Imagine racing through the most famous rides of Disney World with Mario Kart 8 gameplay with a large roster of characters. We got the Disney cast, we could throw Star Wars and Marvel in there since Disney owns them. In fact, let's throw Kingdom Hearts in there too. On top of that, there could be other racetracks that add to the experience. Perhaps one of the later courses could be an homage to the Disney films by racing through short segments of their stories, like Steamboat Willie, or the most obvious choice, Wreck-It Ralph. There's a lot of possibility, like having a fly-only course on Soarin', or having a one-lap structure on Expedition Everest where you spend the whole track racing up to the top of the mountain and back down so you can escape the Yeti's wrath. On top of all this, we could have a story mode too. It'll be tricky, but it's not impossible. Imagine you're me going to Disney World for a racing tournament and the prize is a wish from the Blue Fairy. You would then find the racetracks in hub worlds like Epcot or MGM Studios, and with each win you get closer to the final race taking place at Disney Castle. Add to it rivals and Disney villains for conflict and we have an engaging story. And call me crazy, wouldn't be the first time, but I actually made a playlist of everything song-wise that would be in this game. From single player to multiplayer to story mode to a freaking options menu as well. All allowing my brain to imagine the possibilities of this game. I'm not sure if I'll ever be able to make it, but at least I finally had the chance to share what I thought to all of you. What are the games you wish were released today or your dream projects? Leave your thoughts in the comment section below and thank you so much for watching. And I will see all of you legends in the next video. Take care.